everybody, and welcome again to Irma and Rita. My name's Rita Hickman. I'm with Inspire Massage, and I'm with Irma, who is one of my favorite spiritual coaches. And we're doing a live show 5 days a week on live stream on Facebook, and we invite you to join us. The overall topic of it all is the Healership path. And we introduced the Healership path a little bit yesterday, and today we're going to talk about its intent and purpose. But first, a little bit about me. I'm a massage therapist. I do shiatsu massage out of McHenry, Illinois, and I'm a body-mind expert. I especially help women and people who are looking to go to the next chapter of their lives. I help them rewire their nervous system if they've tried therapy, if they've tried physical therapy, if they've tried all sorts of things and it hasn't worked. I help them change the wiring that's causing them to react, causing them to get angry and upset and be reactionary. And as we get older, we don't want all of our past controlling us anymore. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So Irma Francis and I have decided to team up together and do this great online video show. And it'll be about a half hour. We'll start between 8:15 and 8:30, Monday through Friday in the mornings. And you can listen while you're doing something else, while you're driving. The beautiful thing about this is when you relax and open your mind, the information sinks into your subconscious. And actually then your subconscious takes care of it. If you want to change, really the only thing you have to do is sit back, maybe with a cup of tea, and listen. Because the information will get in. And the things that we listen to and engage with on a regular basis, that's what shapes us. That's what takes us to the next step. So if you surround yourself with great information and wonderful people who've got all sorts of things to help keep you on track, then you are going to get exactly where you want to go. So I'm going to let Irma Francis start today, and she's got some information about how we're going to move on the Healership path, its intent and its purpose. So thanks. Go ahead, Irma.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Irma Francis. I'm a spiritual mentor and a holistic life coach. And I think as we go along in these live streamings, you'll find out a little bit more about what my services are. I can't sum it up in the way that Rita does. It's more getting to know me, and I think you'll learn that through these live streamings. What I thought would be wonderful to talk about today is our intent and purpose for the Healership path. And I know for me, and I think Rita and I are in a very similar place in wanting to support and encourage women. And not so much to be better or more, but to be real and true, and to support you in that. So my intent and purpose in participating in this live streaming, participating in the Healership path, is to really create a space for women to be seen and heard. Mm-hmm. So I don't see this so much, especially this live show in the morning. I don't see it so much as the Rita and Irma show, but I see it as your show. And I want to create a space to invite you in, not to so much ask questions and receive answers, but to open up a dialogue for how can we support and encourage each other on what we're calling the Healership path. So what about you, Rita? What's your intent and purpose? And
for the Healership path?
Yes, and for our show this morning.
Well, you know, Irma's very much broader minded than I am about a lot of things. And I tend to look at how does something serve me. And I know when I really focus on what helps me grow, what fills my well, I know that I have more to give everybody else. Mm-hmm. And so one of the reasons I'm here doing this show today is because I know I feel fulfilled when I help people move to a different place. And that feeling of fulfillment is what fills my well. Yeah. You know, I find out that if I don't work with enough people in a week, my energy gets low. I start to dial
Sure,
down.
sure.
I don't get the intimacy
Sure.
that that feeds me. And, you know, if you've looked around in this culture and this world, we lack real connection and dialogue and intimacy.
Absolutely.
And if I don't have the opportunity to have real conversations with people about things that matter and things that matter to me, then I start to wither away. It's terrible. So my intent and purpose is to fill my well through this. And I know, because when I've been on the other side of the screen, when I've been the one listening to things, that the overflow from the joy and the happiness and the fun that I have will inspire everybody who watches this.
Hence the name of your...
I know. I know. So in my mind, if you're going to do something, you have to do it because it makes you feel good in some way. It either makes you feel like you are contributing to society, or that it meets your ego need for identity, or that it connects you in some way with someone. So if I'm going to do this, and clearly I am, it's because it feeds my soul in a way that just makes me fly.
Wonderful. You know what's so wonderful about that, Rita, is you're a wonderful example of showing women how to really honor themselves and be you are being true and real.
Sure.
You're a living example of that, and that's beautiful. That's wonderful. I love it. I love Rita's passion and her energy. I mean, geez, here we are early in the morning, and look at how bubbly and alive she is. It takes me, you know, of course, I got some years on you, so it takes me a little bit, a little while to get going. I had these thoughts in driving over here today. There's a quote by Emerson that I just resonate so strongly with, and that's: to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
Wow.
Yeah. And for me, that's what I mean by wanting to support women, not so much to be better or more, but to be real and true, because nobody needs to be fixed. It's not about fixing anybody. It's about supporting and encouraging whatever is blocking somebody to be their truest, realest self, to reach their fullest potential in their uniqueness. And something I thought about driving here in all the traffic, we live in a society that has a mainstream, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay. And that would be like the status quo. That would be what's acceptable.
Sure.
The mainstream, which is cool and needed for
to keep society on track.
Right. So we aren't in chaos. Of course,
exactly.
Right. But what I realized driving here is the challenges that I've had in my life, because I don't fit really well in that mainstream.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that I'm resisting or rebelling. I'm just not in the mainstream. Another way to put it is I've taken the road less traveled.
Okay.
Right? So, and when I thought of mainstream, I thought of water. I thought, you know, like a
I've never thought about that before.
Water,
when
like
I think of mainstream, I really I don't think of a stream, and you should.
Yeah,
that's a great, great metaphor.
Because here's the thing. My challenges have been mainstream can move pretty fast, and it can be pretty ego-based. All fine, all good. I'm very heart-based, very feeling-based, and I'm also an introvert in a society that honors mainly extroverts.
Right.
And so I move slow according to the expectations of our society. I'm very mindful in that. So I've gotten a lot of judgment, a lot of, come on, Irma, get with it, go, 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 go. And I'm like, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just doing my thing. And what I realized about the mainstream is I have found my stream that's connected to the mainstream, but not going with the
You're like
mainstream.
a tributary.
Yeah, I mean,
You're like a feeder stream.
I don't know about that. I don't know that I'm a feeder stream. It's being part of the whole, but also unique in that. And I think I'm not the only one. So we have lots of, I don't know that I would call it a feeder stream.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a giving and a taking and a flow between the mainstream and all our unique streams that are connected to that.
Okay, so it's a wetlands.
Well, okay.
The whole wetlands ecosystem. I used to manage natural areas. I used to manage wetlands and fens and watersheds and things. So yeah, I'm trying to come up with a metaphor, but I've just interrupted you. So.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I thought that was really important. That something I wanted to share because I know it's been a challenge for me, and that's what I'm here to do, is to support and encourage women to find a stream that's unique to them, and I will support and encourage them in that.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, on the other end, I've always been considered cutting edge. I've always been pushing the envelope and being on the outside, as in I'm avant-garde, or I've been the person who really is doing things that nobody else is doing, because I've got this weird drive to face my fears and walk right into them, and I want to get them over as fast as possible. It's like lots of things in life make me really uncomfortable. I mean, really uncomfortable. Yeah. And I hate feeling uncomfortable.
What would an example of that be? Like something that makes you really uncomfortable. What's an example? Is there something that comes up over and over again?
Oh, yeah. One thing that makes me really uncomfortable is if I wake up in the mornings and I feel sad or anxious or off. Yeah. I don't like that, but that's a common experience for me. And so, and I've got this stubborn streak that says, you've got to figure this out. You've got to figure this out because you don't want to keep feeling uncomfortable. And you have to do it in a way that fits with you. And so I wasn't raised drinking coffee. Yeah. I wasn't raised eating breakfast, actually, even. I wasn't raised with a lot of good morning rituals. And so I didn't naturally turn to those sorts of things in order to make myself feel better. So I would feel bad, I would feel bad, I would feel bad, and be like, I have got to figure this out. That was the turning point for me when I was 30, was I felt so bad, and I wasn't going to turn to alcohol, I wasn't going to turn to caffeine, I wasn't going to turn to sugar and all of that other stuff. I was going to figure it out, but I couldn't stand being that uncomfortable. And so I walked right into it, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do in order to not feel bad in the mornings in a way that fits in with my integrity, or fits in with my beliefs about who I want to be, my identity. As time has gone by, my identity has shifted considerably because I have a more mature and well-rounded view of it. You know, I don't box myself in anymore. But because I'm really sensory oriented, I feel things so deeply and so much. I'm like, I don't want to be uncomfortable. How do I stop being uncomfortable? I don't tolerate pain well, and I don't tolerate discomfort well. Yeah. And so I've always said that's one of my greatest gifts, is I don't have the ability to be in lots of pain and bear it. You know, so I don't have children. And so, because I knew I wouldn't be ready or capable of dealing with the high level of stress that raising a child brings. I mean, I have great respect for you that, you know, that you've had children and you've raised them and you've raised them well. Because for me, I knew I would be too uncomfortable. And because of that, I said, I've got to make sure in a little bit of a self-awareness way, I've got to keep myself from self-destructing.
Yeah, I think that was and is so responsible on your part. Very responsible, because what I hear you saying in what you just described, in being uncomfortable, is that you were knowing, you knew that you needed to be true to who you were, and to be your fullest self and to reach your fullest potential, reaching that place of love. And if we are, I mean, your conscious choice not to have children, very responsible, very loving to yourself and to the children that maybe if you weren't conscious would have come into your life, and maybe it, you know.
Well, and I know a lot of women have had to make choices like that. I've got a number of friends and relatives and all sorts of things where all sorts of women in my life who've made the choice not to have kids. And it's a bit of a battle, not only with your spouses but with your family. I mean, I've got my dad now saying things like, my life would be better and I'd be happier if I had grandkids. All my friends have grandkids and I don't, and that's why I'm depressed, and that's why I'm irritable, and you know, because I don't have grandkids.
So it's your fault.
Thanks for that. You know, and the people that you feel that you've disappointed because of it, because you haven't fulfilled your role as a woman, you know, of contributing to society. And that's, I mean, having to, but I came from my mom was extremely strong in her way. I mean, I had a brother, and my mom had to put my brother in a nursing home very, very young, like at, you know, between the age of 1 and 2, because she knew she couldn't care for him. And my sister was on the way. I have a sister who's 4 years older than me. So, you know, she was pregnant with my sister, and she had my brother who was severely handicapped, and she had to make the decision to put him in a nursing home because she knew she couldn't do both. She couldn't handle, you know, what my family was going through, as well as more children on the way. And so she went up against everybody, you know, because my dad's family, her friends, society all said, you know, if you were really a good mother, if you were really a good woman, then you wouldn't do this because it's wrong. And so, you know, I had that as an example. And my mom was a great example for strength, not in how vocal she was, but in how able she was to work through adversity. She had strong adversity in her life, both when she was young. I mean, she grew up on a farm, and they were poor. You know, she grew up that way, and then, you know, with the challenges of my brother, and there were some family dynamics involved, anger, tension, anxiety, frustration, it was always all around. And she found ways to keep moving forward no matter what. And oh my God, this makes me tear up a little bit because, you know, even though things were so tough, she was present. You know, she couldn't always be emotionally present. She had to protect herself, but she was physically present. You know, she took us to every softball game and you know, every play and every rehearsal and everything. And so for me as a woman, being on that cutting edge, she was a great example in her beautiful ability to find a way to make things work. And I know a lot of women out there, that's probably true too, because I mean, you know what I mean? A lot of us came from that culture where, you know, women don't speak, women don't do things. I mean, I know you did. What were some of your experiences?
Oh gosh, well, I came from 3 brothers, 3 sisters. My parents were together forever until my father passed away. They both worked. They started out in a very poor background. My mother, yes, lots and lots of adversity. I mean, just having 7 children.
Oh my God, you had 7? I mean, she had 7?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes. And still,
my aunt was like that too. Yeah, farm family for us.
And still going very strong today. She is sharper than most 20-year-olds mentally. She's extremely sharp. She's 92.
Holy cow.
Yes, she lives alone, still drives, even though she has macular degeneration. She can legally drive, but she can't see very well out of one of her eyes. And no, she's unstoppable,
Wow.
unshakable.
Wow.
Yeah, so she was a wonderful example and is a wonderful example of what it means to age gracefully, because she's done it quite well. But something you mentioned in what you were sharing, and I love that we have this opportunity to share our voice and to welcome the voices of women to join us.
Because we all have these stories, don't we?
Yeah, and we've talked about times in our lives where we felt like we couldn't speak up.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Oh, I spent the majority of my life, and I'm only now in my 40s starting to realize that I can speak up, and sometimes it makes a difference and sometimes it doesn't, but either way the world doesn't come to an end. Catastrophe doesn't happen when I speak my truth.
Well, yes, and I think I shared this with you the other day, and I'd love to share it with our audience today, because it made such a big difference in my life. I've been blessed to have a wonderful spiritual teacher, a mentor in my life, and when we were in the process of just getting to know each other, I found it necessary to speak my truth. I needed to speak my truth, which, it might, hit them, come out of left field. It's like, oh, wow, I thought things were going fine. Oh, okay, so you need to speak your truth. Okay. Yeah. And one day he said to me, and this is when I made a shift, which was so helpful to me. He said, well, I wonder what it would be like for you, instead of needing to speak your truth, if you just lived your truth.
I think that's a little bit of a difference between women and men, though, too. With women, I mean, I know if you speak your truth to me, I'm like, oh, crap. Let's stop in our tracks. We need to sort this out.
Yeah.
But with a lot of men, I find action is what speaks to them.
But that's what made that shift for me, because of that. Because women can be very, very verbal, and men have a tendency to be more action oriented. So the gift he gave me in that is to take action.
Sure.
Don't just be, speaking your truth to speak your truth and kind of venting. And I'm not a big venter or complainer, but I did find it necessary to speak my truth. And what the gift that gave to me is to live in my truth, which for me meant to take more action.
So it's bringing your, to put it in metaphysical terms, it's bringing your feminine and your masculine together.
Yes.
Because in my experience, my big fear was I can never speak my truth because the world will come to an end. And then I've had these experiences the last little while, I guess, where I felt like I needed to speak my truth, which was a big step.
Yeah.
And then it didn't make an impact. It didn't do anything. And it's like, you mean I can speak my truth all day long and it still doesn't evoke change? It still doesn't get me what I want? It's just speaking my truth.
Right. Exactly.
But when I speak my truth to you, it has an impact.
Because I'm really hearing you.
Right.
I care.
It has a conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas, and that's more the feminine, that verbal. And then the masculine, when we talk to males, when we talk to that masculine energy, even women who carry that masculine energy, action means more. Yeah. And so it's almost like, well, you don't really mean what you mean until you do something about it. And it's weird because, I hear women in relationships a lot because I work with a lot of women and who are in the middle. They're reaching the age where their relationships are no longer working for them. Yeah. And they talk to me and they say, well, I was going through this and I've been telling them for years and they didn't listen to me. And then I walked out and that's when they listened to me. And I say to them, I said, that's because that's the first time they heard you. Yeah. Because that's the first time that you gave them an action. You gave them a consequence.
A consequence. Absolutely.
Right. Right. So I'm so proud of you, I guess, that you're able to speak your truth and live your truth.
Yeah, it is, and it is, and you're absolutely right on that. It is integrating the masculine and the feminine, and that's what creates wholeness within us.
And that's how we evolve and mature and become adults.
Absolutely. You gave me a wonderful example when we were kind of talking on this topic the other day. You were talking about something I believe you saw on YouTube, the cheerleader or something doing the splits.
Yeah, it was all over the news with the
I didn't see it,
coach.
but until you brought it to my attention.
There was a coach. Did you find it then?
I did not, but you explained it so well I didn't need to.
It was a high-level cheerleading group team, and the coach as well as her peers were forcing her into the splits. And to get her down in the splits. And so she's in the splits and she's surrounded by people who are pushing her down, and she's saying, no, stop, no, stop. And I turned to a friend of mine and I said, well, I'm surprisingly unempathetic. And they looked at me and they're like, well, that's because you just think your issues are worse than everybody else's. And I said, well, okay, that may be true. I don't think I'm that self-absorbed, but okay, it's possible. And I thought about it for a while and I said, no, it's because the experiences she's had in life have said that if she says no, that she'll be listened to, that it'll be respected, that it'll stop.
I mean, that would be great.
Right. That would be great if that were always
But we are
true.
living in a patriarchal society that doesn't necessarily respect that no.
They don't respect the no. I mean, at all. And we can say as many times, well, we have to teach men that no means no. And that's true.
Yes.
But if their wiring is also where they require action, for us to feel safe in the world, we have to realize we can't just speak our truth. She couldn't just say no, but she didn't know any better. So I mean,
she was young, right?
She was young. She was, and when I took that information in, I said, okay, yeah, she just doesn't know yet that you can't just say no. You actually have to do something about it. You have to collapse. You have to fight back. You have to, start elbowing people and punching people in the face if you have to. You have got to have an action that tells people definitively, this is the position. This is my stand. And so it's abuse if it's a child and you don't know any better.
Yeah.
But as an adult, if we really want to take our place in the world, we have to realize that if we don't make a movement and take a stand, a definitive stand that's not just words. I'm warning you, I'm warning you, I'm warning you. But no, I'm gone. I'm gone for the night. And if you want me back, you need to make amends.
Right. Because it's not about convincing somebody else to respect your no. It's not about convincing the other person. It's about knowing absolutely.
Yeah.
I know, I think I've said this example to you, but it's so true. Anybody that has a dog, which I used to have a beautiful chocolate lab who's no longer with me, and his name was Abe. So when I told Abe no, but I had a maybe going on inside of me, he knew it. And he kept pushing and jumping and doing whatever I was telling him, no, stop. But the minute I made a shift inside myself and there was no maybe anymore, it was no.
Right.
He got it.
Right.
He got it. So it wasn't convincing Abe, I really mean it. It was convincing and being absolutely, this is not going to change. There is no maybe, no. And that can make a difference because it's the energy behind the no. It's what you're feeling inside yourself. So I'm just curious, if you were that teenage girl and you were being forced into this, if you could tell that teenage girl how to do that differently, what would you tell her?
I would have told her to not participate in the action that is happening. By her acquiescing to it. Right. She was, the only empowering way we can look at it is to say that she chose to participate in this.
Because she stayed and allowed it.
Because she stayed and allowed it. And that's no judgment at all.
No.
But when we stay and allow something, we have to recognize this is our choice. We're choosing this because we're participating in it. And even if we don't know any better, that's a lesson we have to learn.
Yeah.
And even if we, in some way, because a lot of things happen where we are overpowered,
yes.
where we are forced.
There's true victim.
Yes,
true
and I
victim.
completely understand that. But I learned when I was a little kid that if I want to feel strong, if I want to feel safe in the world, I have to realize that everything that happens to me, that I'm engaging with, you know, even if I'm being victimized, I had a choice.
If you stayed and you weren't being overpowered, and there was a way for you to get away, but there are times.
But I also have a choice in my head. I don't have to allow myself to remain traumatized. We have got so many fail safes in our body, where we check out. I mean, it's how you end up with multiple personalities, of course. Is
fight, flight, freeze? Is that some of the?
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, you can check out. I mean, none of these are like great long-term coping skills because they cause mental and emotional harm.
Yes.
But like one of the ways that children cope with trauma is that they compartmentalize it.
Yeah.
And so they end up with almost multiple personalities. I mean, I've been accused of being called Sybil, you know, a few times in my life because I have so many aspects of me that weren't integrated at the time.
Yeah.
And so you can check out.
Yeah.
You know, you can compartmentalize it.
Yeah. You
can go to your happy place. You can you can call in a higher power, you know, if you believe in that. There are all sorts of things in your body and mind that you can do to save yourself. So even if you're physically forced to engage, you do not have to mentally and emotionally engage. You still have that choice. And I know a lot of women out there and a lot of people out there have been victimized in the past. You know, things have happened to them, especially when they were small, that they had no choice to participate in. And as adults, many times we feel we got no choice but to participate. We have to do this, you know, for whatever good reason.
Right.
But we have got options within ourselves so that we do not have to fully participate. We do not have to be a victim to our circumstances. Ever.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely true. And that's a very good point that you brought up, though, Rita, is if you have an experience in childhood where you truly were victimized because you were a child, it's almost a automatic, natural thing that that pattern repeats in your life. Because you really need to take changes as you grow and mature to recognize if I keep creating circumstances that are where I feel like a victim, what am I doing to participate in that? And sometimes it does go all the way back to childhood. It's a learned behavior.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, on my end, it was learned submission. You know, and that actually saved me for most of my you learn to submit.
Right. Yes,
but a lot of people, they never learned to submit because they weren't forced, and so they had uncomfortable circumstances that you're right. They had to keep recreating until they learned that they didn't have to participate in them anymore. You know, that there was no winning. You weren't going to win the fight.
Yeah.
You just have to, you know, decide how you're going to manage it or avoid the situation or things like that.
So that learned submission that you did, how did you then change that as you became an adult? How did you change that belief that all I can do is submit? Well,
the submission made me really sick. You know, because if you, and a lot of people out there do, when you spend your life people pleasing, when you accommodate everybody, and I did it in order to feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, but and a lot of people do. Let's avoid conflict. Let's avoid what's going on.
Yeah.
If you do it too much, you eventually get sick.
Yeah.
You can't shape your life for everybody else ever.
Yeah.
Because then your own needs don't get met, and then so I got so uncomfortable that it was my bottom.
Yeah.
And I said, I need the next 30 years to be better than the first 30 years. And in fact, now that I think about it, it would be about 15 years later now, wouldn't it? Of the next 30 years. And I'm on a really great track of walking directly into the things that make me uncomfortable so they can stop making me feel uncomfortable. Because the only way to resolve them is to walk right into it and realize that you are not that person anymore, or you're bigger than that, or how to navigate it.
I absolutely hear you. It makes me think of one of my favorite movies, The Fisher King, with Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, I have. I love that movie.
Yeah, there's a scene in that movie which I totally relate to what you were just saying. Robin Williams, his wife gets killed right in front of him, and he goes into a psychotic break. And so during the whole movie, there's this fire-breathing dragon that's chasing him.
Okay.
And so he's always running away from it. And he, stays in that psychotic break. He doesn't remember who he really was before that psychotic break. And at a point in the movie, he turns and he faces the fire-breathing dragon, and everything changes.
Right.
So that's kind of what I hear you saying, that you can't keep running from that fire-breathing dragon. At some point, you have to turn and face it, and that dragon is your fears. Right. Right? Yeah.
But you have to have enough resources to help back you up. I faced my fears by myself for a really long time. And but as you face bigger and bigger challenges, and as you evolve more and want to tackle bigger issues in your life, you have to create a support system.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons we are doing this, is because we want to create a support system for everyone, the resources that they need to face those fears, to walk right through those walls.
Absolutely.
Because to really evolve to the people and women we're supposed to be, we need to have resources and support and community. We cannot do it alone.
No.
As much as we've always done it alone in the past, we reach a point, a plateau, where we can't go any further unless we've got community behind us and supporting us, and people to talk to and connect and share their resources.
That's so major. Something we talked about in one of the products that we're putting together, and it just brings this so to the forefront, is how independence for you kind of created codependence in a way, right? So what we're talking about now, and that absolutely needing support and encouragement and a community, is moving into interdependence, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the next stage of the evolution.
Yeah.
Well, we are just about out of time today, so we should think about wrapping up. So tomorrow, Irma, what were we thinking we were going to talk about?
I don't have a clue.
Oh, all right.
Something wonderful and supportive and encouraging. I'm sure. Yes. So
thank you for joining us today. If you would love to become part of our tribe and get the support and the love and the validation and everything that you need, go to inspiremassage.com and sign up for our email list, because I send out emails just about every day, and we send out the videos that we do, as well as a little bit of commentary on it, a little bit of a story with it to take it just a smidge deeper. So make sure you do that, because there's all sorts of great stuff coming out, including products that Irma and I are creating around highly paid healers, about the steps of a healership path, about reclaiming your soul, about communication. And that's how you'll find out about them. So make sure, inspiremassage.com, go visit us and add yourself to the email list, and we'd love to have you there. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you found this really helpful and wonderful. And I hope you have a great day. Anything from you, Irma?
Just have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.